This episode of Misery Hunters is brought to you by Paisley Craft Beer Co., Paisley's #1 and only craft beer venue. You can sit in and take away, and we've also just introduced a local delivery service. So if you live in the Renfrewshire area and are looking for craft beer, we can deliver the same day if you order before 1 o'clock. Next day delivery is well for any time after that. Minimum order is £20. Any orders over 60, you get free delivery. So what are you waiting for? Go to paisleycraftbeer.com. That's paisleycraftbeer.com. Hello, you miserable bastards, and welcome to the Misery Hunters podcast. My name is Jamie Coburn, and joining me is Mark Jardine.
Hello.
Andrew Christie.
And
the prodigal son has returned, Ross Davidson.
I hope that wasn't prior to my introduction, Andrew. But hello, for the first time in a while.
Have you and Andrew been on a podcast together?
Aye,
yes.
just the one, yeah.
Just the one. Oh, fair enough.
And then I've not been on since, so let that. You can judge that by yourself.
Yeah.
Despite all the misery that we've seen online, we actually do have a win to talk about. We can briefly talk about the Cowden Beast game. 2-0. I mean, we kind of went up, scored the 2 goals, and then it basically became a training match, more or less.
I think Robinson was pretty scathing about the surface and all the rest of it. I don't necessarily agree that we should be fine with just 2 goals, but
yeah,
I don't think it's that ridiculous either that you get in, you get your 2 goals, and then you just sit on a lead and don't get anyone injured on a horrible surface like that. There's not that much to be gained, and I don't think a couple of extra goals is going to be the difference between us getting through or not.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I tried to watch the game, but that stream was atrocious.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I don't think there was much football to be that we missed anyway. I think Robinson was saying there was pretty much one ball in the entire Fife area.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was more than like 30 seconds of consecutive football from start to finish. So in terms of Saturday, it was good to get 2 goals and get out, but obviously it meant not a jot after the other night. But
no, that's true. I guess we should probably just go straight into the other night. Well, where to start? I mean, the sending off we can talk about. What a hit.
SFA, wank, wank, wank. SFA, wank, wank, wank.
Same old Airdrie, always cheating. But no, I don't think he struck anything that sweetly since he's honestly, that was an absolute nailer, so fair play to him, but no complaints with the red. It was a stick on red and crazy.
not at all. You could tell the moment he did that, he knew he was off. And you can't even have any complaints. It was just no maliciousness in it and just very stupid and lack of concentration, and no complaints at all. I don't think we looked great before then.
No.
But obviously that killed any game plan that we had. That we kind of working the 4-3-3, and then was it Olasanya came off to make way, and just became stretched and just not great at all, to be honest.
No.
You're thinking with a full 60 odd minutes still to play when you're putting that extra midfielder on. You would have thought with the news this week as well that was maybe an opportunity to get Reid on the pitch with kind of youthful legs and energy. Sticking, I think we all like Ryan Flynn and we all appreciate what he's there for, but I don't necessarily think his legs are what you need for an hour against 10 men on the hottest day of the year. I'd maybe have given youth a bit of a go there, and just for energy reasons. If nothing else, I think you'd maybe get a little bit more out of that. Not a specific criticism of Flynn or anything, but I don't know if that was the more sensible choice.
For sure, I thought Reid was a sensible option, just as you say, just for energy, legs. The weather is a major factor that I think a lot of people don't take into consideration, especially with the team chasing 60 minutes, long balls for the goalie, which frustrated me. I couldn't understand why we were punting long balls into the channel and a roasting hot day for our guys to chase in when we'll get 10 men. And I thought maybe bringing Reid on next to Erihon to young guys full of energy with the legs about them, rather than bringing Flynn on was a sensible option. I just don't know why Flynn came on the park, to be honest.
No, that definitely was a strange decision, especially after, talking about the youth and how the youth will get a chance. It was a wee kind of flashback to a Jim Goodwin type of move there. But we'll try and move on from that. And sort of one positive I would say from that match, someone that would have got pass marks, Ethan was really good. I think everybody's saying they've been impressed with him so far this pre-season. Fingers crossed that continues, and I actually do think that him and O'Hara will have a pretty decent partnership in the middle of the park. I think we saw glimpses of it, and we probably would have saw more if Kilty hadn't got sent off. And again, we might have even saw even more if Dylan Reid had came on instead of Flynn. But yeah, it was a strange decision.
Yeah, I think Ethan's been excellent. I think that's the Erhahon that we all know is in there somewhere. That it's been waiting to come out. I mean, it was his 100th appearance for St Mirren the other day, and we've seen a handful of those kind of performances that over his time that started this kind of pre-season. Hopefully it continues. But just a word on O'Hara though, that you mentioned, that I seem to be kind of one of the minority. He's not really impressed me since I've been watching him since he came in. I know a lot of people reckon him and Ethan will be a good partnership, which they may well be, but I don't really get it with O'Hara yet. I don't see what he brings to the table other than just being a box-to-box athlete.
I think the Motherwell fans that I'd kind of read, opinions of and spoken to had all said that is essentially what you're getting, and that's why Robinson's such a fan, because Robinson will try and play this very athletic, stretched game and just try and bulldoze our teams and bully them, and O'Hara is going to do that for 90 minutes. When he's fit, he's fit, and that's what you're getting. He's maybe not the guy to break down a low block.
Mm-hmm. Very versatile as well. Like he can kind of slot back at centre half, or he's even played right back for spells as well. So I think the system's going to rely a lot on people being able to do multiple roles. So I think in that regard he'll be a bit of a find. And I'm kind of thinking about the Kilty red card. Like, I'm absolutely desperate for Kilty to get his chance and come good for us. But where do you see his role in the starting 11? Do you think it is in the 4-3-3? Do you think he fits into that?
I don't think he fits into the middle three. I think he's got more of a chance of kind of shoehorning his way into that front three potentially, and because he's able to move the full way across the pitch. He's ideally a central player, but although he's not a winger, he's capable of carrying the ball out wide and everything else. I don't think you're going to get that full shift out of him in the middle of the park. I think he's always going to want to play his game in the opposition half, and he's going to want to do the kind of not number 10 thing, but be that more attacking option. He's not O'Hara and Erhahon, and I don't think we're set up where you've got two guys like that to give another guy freedom. I think Robinson wants three guys with that mindset who are going to cover every blade of grass and who are going to battle for every ball, and if they pick the ball up in our half, they're just as happy powering forward 30 yards with it if they've got the space as they are kind of setting something up and pushing someone else on. And I just don't feel like that's Kilty. Kilty for me is almost back to where he was early doors under Goodwin, where he's probably an impact sub. He's probably the guy that when we need to change shape to chase something later in the game, so we go to maybe a flat or two up top and have wider midfielders, and then there is a floater just in behind them. I think that's probably his place to go. I don't see him as a starter.
No, I think he's probably going to be dropped in favour of Bacchus when he comes in, and then you're going to play O'Hara probably in a more attacking sort of role. Hopefully it works out. I can't see him being, I think you, as you said, play him as an impact sub. Like, I don't think, like we saw under Goodwin, like his best didn't come from when we were shoehorning him out on the wing. Like, he wasn't great. His delivery is like not too great either. And I mean, I think that's where our issue. I think we might still continue struggling for goals this season because
if the deliveries were anything to go by, like Tanzler's before he went off injured was pretty bad, like to say the least. Kilty's was bad. You've got Ayunga, who like I genuinely think should be in the centre of the top three. I think that's where he sort of performs a bit better. Like, understand he's big, he's strong, and can hold like a defender off and stuff like that. So that's where you put him. Olasanya, you obviously didn't really get to see too much of him. Apparently he's super quick. I didn't get to see much of that against Airdrie. And also, I didn't even notice, I know this is a completely different, I didn't even notice Ryan Strain was playing until someone said he was terrible.
He came on for Tanser, didn't he? Did he play on the left?
I couldn't even tell you.
Shows you how poor we were, to be honest.
And I think, see, the thing is with like the stream we've got, like the Airdrie stream, was that like the automated one that follows the ball kind of thing?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, because you got no replays, no nothing, so like you didn't really get to see much else off the pitch or anything. Yeah. And I genuinely didn't even realise he was on the park until someone said, I think on our Discord, that they were not impressed by him, and he did not look good. I understand he's not played a lot of football, but we kind of made the same statements about Matt Miller, and someone said on I think the Discord that he was worse than Matt Miller.
I thought there was a couple of the pre-season games, maybe the Crusaders one or Linfield, I can't really mind, but Strain looked pretty good. These deliveries look quite good, but I am kind of holding out judgment because I've not seen a lot of them yet at all. But he came from a fairly high level, like playing in Israel. I know he didn't get a lot of game time for various reasons, but I don't know. I mean, like you say, we're saying all the same things that we said about Matt Miller, so maybe maybe that will be this kind of similar case. But who knows?
I do think, and quite a few people on Twitter and elsewhere had brought this up, we're not getting the best out of Marcus Fraser as a right back. I do think that kind of unbalances a bit, and it's strange because I genuinely had him as a potential Player of the Year candidate in his first season. He was just so refreshingly consistent, and he just had so much energy. But it's weird because he's simultaneously, I think, probably a better player as a right centre back in a 3. I think that's his kind of natural position because he's got the legs to go and push when Goodwin wanted him to break and do that, and when Robinson did that at the end of the season. But I don't think he's not good enough. That's maybe harsh, but I don't think he's a guy that you can trust to cover that entire side of the pitch. He got done fairly regularly last season. I thought he had a relatively poor year, so maybe putting him back to that original place, you would maybe get better out of him again, and I just don't see it. So I don't know if you would assume, having signed Strain, as you're saying, from a level that he's going to be your definite first choice when fit. It's kind of tough to judge the backline and how we shape up around that until you actually see that happen. Fraser is probably your second choice right back, and Tate, I would assume, is your second choice left back. Maybe Dunn. It's a kind of strange situation, and I don't know how confident I am in it. But that's maybe just ignorance.
I can see Fraser maybe working his way onto the bench, to be honest, if it's not really working. I think similar to Kilty, he's good in one position and he's effective in one position. If you try and shift him from what his natural position is or what he's natural in doing, he becomes pretty average. And I think you'll see that with Fraser. He'll gradually drop to the bench over the season, I would think, because the back four, I think, is probably pretty settled, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Did
thinking in an ideal world,
did anything come out of Tanzer's injury? I don't know. Was he
hamstring? I think
hamstring. So is he going to be out for a wee bit, or
don't know? That's just what Robinson said. He came off with that injury. I don't know if it's maybe just tight or if he's pulled it or whatever.
Fingers crossed. It's just a tight one.
I suppose O'Hara has been mentioned as well as that potential right back option. So
yeah,
now that Bacchus is in and there's numbers, then maybe there is that kind of flexibility, and that is a kind of Robinson hallmark. So, but as much as we've all kind of gone to bat and defended Robinson, there's a lot riding on these kind of contingencies working, because if the if the first choice stuff isn't working, and then the contingency doesn't land, and he's kind of staked his reputation on building a squad and all the rest of it, then you kind of begin to kind of validate some of the criticism, which I'm guessing we're going to talk about that after this anyway, which I think the criticism's still so over the top. There's such a rush of blood with it, and I think a lot of it you can't help what your instinct is, but I think so much of it's ignorant of what went before. Excuse me, that it's not. You can not like him and you can think he's doing a bad job, but some of the reasons that people throw up in favour of other people is just wild.
It's
I think
absolutely.
the frustration's correct to a point, but it's just vented the wrong way. It's
a bit over the top. I think we're not saying you can't criticise that wasn't good enough. Our league, or even though you can say it's pre-season, unfortunately nowadays this isn't pre-season. This is the cup, and despite it being a horrible format, everybody has to go through it, and you can rightly say this isn't good enough because it isn't. However, when you start because Goodwin didn't have a great Betfred Cup run at the start, you totally gloss over that and you skip all the way back and you try to say, oh, it's like Stubbs all over again, when Stubbs actually got through the group stage. It's stupid arguments and over the top reaction. And I think, Ross, you may have said it in the group chat where Robinson will get an inch where Goodwin got a mile off of some people.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And a lot of people just didn't like Robinson as soon as he walked in the door because he wasn't Jack Ross.
That's essentially it.
And they've not shifted from that opinion when they've not gave the guy a chance at all.
To kind of speak to that point, one of my worries is a lot of our kind of influential fans online, I feel like they kind of have an agenda going in there. What they see is kind of shaped by their agenda rather than vice versa, which is lazy and kind of quite dishonest punditry, because it's not informed by what you're seeing. You have a agenda that you are making that fit in, just because, I don't know, I feel like some fans maybe aren't getting the level of reverence from Robinson that they feel they deserve, and that's not Robinson's style and never will be.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like that's a rod that's made for Robinson's back, and I don't, we are St Mirren, we're going to go and losing streaks. That's the nature of our football club, and I think 2 bad games and the knives are going to be out for Robinson, and that's kind of the harsh reality. And whether I think maybe it was yourself, Ross, who was saying in the chat, maybe it will get to the point where Robinson does just say, like, you know what, fuck off, and probably rightly so at certain points. Like, I can kind of see us going up to, for talking's sake, going up to Dingwall, not playing well, maybe scraping a draw, and Robinson just doesn't pat the badge quite hard enough. He doesn't clap the fans at the end quite hard enough, and that's it. He's lost the dressing room. The fans have turned on him. All this, that, and the other, and I just think, I can see it being quite a long season in terms of fan reaction and what's going to happen online. But
we'll go to Tannadice, and Jack Ross will clap the away fans.
Aye.
And Stephen Robinson won't, and the entire.
Well, he got pretty bad abuse when he went to Fir Park and allegedly clapped the Motherwell boys. And obviously during COVID, they had to come up past the away support to get to that kind of.
Yeah.
And he was getting terrible abuse for saying he either didn't clap the St Mirren fans, or, like what Mark was saying, didn't clap them well enough, or as good as with them. It's something.
Yeah,
bizarre,
he clapped.
Like sarcastic.
That was it. They said he clapped sarcastically. Like, I think he was just clapping because he'd done that and he was walking at the same time. So it was a sarcastic clap.
Yeah.
Stephen McGarry would never.
I think I speak for all 4 of us when I say that if you're an adult and that you shouted abuse at someone because you thought they clapped sarcastically, you should probably hand back the keys to your motor.
My personal view is I think he's finished with a lot of people anyway.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, I think he's. I can't remember someone having a manager that polarised so much or so many, and I do think he's got the strength of character to, after a dodgy result at Dingwall, like you were saying, to just go, do you know what, this isn't for me. I'm no. And then if or when that happens, the folk that are abusing him online and things like that, I will see that as a victory, and he wasn't strong enough as a super manager anyway. He's thrown in the towel when he should have been hard enough. And it's just, I don't know what way it's going to go, but the guy could win us the Scottish Cup, and there would genuinely still be people wanting him bulleted. I think it's got to that level.
It's something you could heavy see. Like, imagine we win our first 3 games, and then I don't even know who the fourth team is, but imagine it's someone like Dundee United or whatever. And Dundee United have recruited well over the summer, especially attackingly, and say they put 4 by us in a 4-1 defeat. Like, those 3 wins would be out the window, and that would be it. That would be him, people shouting for him to go again. And I get, like, as you said, a strength of character to look at this and go, look, I'm doing my best with what I've got here. If it's not good for you, then do you know what? I'm off-ski. And then who are we going to be left with? Because it's not that much of an attractive job for people who are experienced. It's an attractive job for the names that we started seeing. Stevie Naismith, people like that. And we're going to get stuck with someone like that. And then, aye.
They'll give it to Langfield and Alan McManus, and they'll do a terrible job. And the excuse will be they're doing it with Robinson's players, so give them a break. Mm-hmm. Whereby he came in, took over Goodwin's squad, and didn't get any form of break. So that's exactly what will happen. Hopefully not, but that's, in my theory, that's exactly, you can see that happening.
I think I'm wary of like digging ourselves too deep into the trenches as if we're like Robinson fanatics. And for me, and being fairly relentless, and it wasn't even really support of Robinson. I mean, I think we should support anyone that comes in and give them that chance, but it was more rallying against what I thought was unfair criticism. I don't think at any point I've said that Robinson's the best manager in the country, or I think there is cause for optimism, and maybe that's not going to come out and be, and come to fruition. Like that's fine, but almost all of my issue up to this point has been that I think the criticism's way too harsh and unfounded. It's just based on assumptions, or based on half-truths, or like willful ignorance of previous managers on the records, and also who was available at the time. Jamie, I think you're dead on with that. Like, everyone's saying, like, we've paid so much money for this manager, and it's the most we've ever paid for someone like that, and he's not even as good as Ian Murray and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, right, brilliant. Take the manager that was there to be brought out of his contract and brought in, who had proven success in the division and everything else, right? Take him out of the equation. What manager was coming in to do better than what Robinson did last year, and to try and build something off the bones of a squad which 4 years into the Goodwin reign had got a bit stale? Who was that there? Are you saying that we've missed out on like Jim McIntyre?
Really does.
Is that, yeah, like, and I'm being entirely serious here, and I don't mean to spring it on you, but I'm finding that, because even as I'm saying it, I cannot think of another manager that I would have been excited to come in. Like
even
Brian Rice,
even Stephen Robinson, until that name popped out, like, we were all like in our own group chat, like, terrified the fact that it looked like it was going to be Stevie Naismith that was getting the job, and we're like, and then
Scott Brown, It was pretty bad time, like, and then when Stephen Robinson, I think maybe that's not helped either, that the names were so bad. So when Stephen Robinson came in, we're like, actually, that's going to be really good. And maybe too much hope was put on it, where we kind of overestimated our position of where we were as well. Because I mean, there's still people that will say we were 4th at half time at one point, and he blew the top 6.
I mean, remember the aggro that Naismith was getting because apparently his father-in-law worked for the Kibble?
Oh, I know.
So, I mean, if he even pinpointed him, I don't know how bad it would be. But Robinson arrived with, and he still does, but he arrived with a decent pedigree. Mm-hmm. Far better than Jack Ross that everybody was wanting, or whoever else. And what he done with Motherwell, we should have all been excited by his appointment, and I think all the kind of reasonable heads were. But and then just, I don't know, where this guy just never got a chance at all. These things made up about how he slaughtered all the squad members in an after-match interview and threw them under the bus didn't happen. Mm-hmm. It ruined Jim Goodwin's team because we were 4th at half-time. Nonsense. It's just, I think Mark touched on it, it's just a lot of stuff that's made up, and they pinned on Robinson for God knows why.
And I think Stephen, you could kind of see it full time. I think Stephen Robinson's now in a position where he's almost trying to take that criticism himself to protect the players, because you could see at the end of the game when the fan angle we saw of everybody getting booed, Robinson was sort of kind of gesturing to himself as if to say almost like, "Nah, me," like direct it at me, because we can talk about how much footballers get paid, this, that, and the other. Like, if getting booed affects a player, reading tweets about how shit you are affects a player. Like, it can't not. So it's now we're in a position where Robinson now has to throw himself in front of this abuse so that the players aren't affected. I'm kind of worried what the end goal is of that, to be honest.
I think Robinson can only shoulder so much. That's where my point in the group chat come from. There's going to be a busting point where he's going to have to either come out and mention the fans, and it's going to go one way or the other, or he's just going to say, "Listen, I'm not dealing with this." And
I don't know if you could blame him at that point.
I wouldn't blame him, and I can agree with Mark. I don't think it's acceptable what's happened so far in the League Cup by any means. It's not been.
I don't know that anyone thinks that's acceptable. I mean, I literally, even the staunchest Robinson defender who's given the kind of pre-season type excuses, I don't think any of them think that this is acceptable. It's such a straw argument to throw back.
Absolutely. And if that form carries on into the league, I think he'd be in a pretty ropey position. But I also don't think the abuse coming his way is anyway merited at all.
I feel like I've said a few different ways that last year I just don't buy the kind of top six, bottom six, and we were in the top six until Robinson took over stuff. Like, yes, there has to be a division after 33 games, and it is what it is, and I think it's a good idea, and I support it. But it's an absolute fallacy to say that there's 6 good teams and 6 bad teams. And in our division last year, there was categorically a top 3 last year and a bottom 9. And briefly, we were near the top on goal difference of the bottom 9. And then within the space of like 3 weeks, with not that much change in points at all, because everyone was trying to throw it away at the same time, we were then nearer the bottom of that because it was so compact. But at no point were we the 4th best team in the country. We were fighting it out with like 7 other teams to be the 4th or 5th best team, and we were in the middle of the deck of that, and that's how it kind of played out towards the end. So I just think, right, brilliant at halftime in a game. In theory, we were close to this point. We were never more than like 6 points or whatever from the playoffs either, or from 9th, excuse me.
Yeah, because there was the whole thing about dragging us into a relegation battle, which just didn't happen because it wasn't a thing.
And we were already there. Like, we were already in the position we were in. Like, it's not as if we did that and Dundee United and County suddenly took another 15 points off us straight away and tore ahead of us. We were losing at the same time they were drawing and whatever else, and it was only like handing points over to those teams against us directly in the end that I think cost us. But it's just not the capitulation that I think it's painted as. It's just not. And I think the division this year is much tougher. I can't, other than St Johnstone and Cormack, I don't think there's a team out there that have recruited badly. I think maybe Motherwell. I think Motherwell will really struggle to match where they finished last year. But Motherwell didn't finish where they were last year because they were a genuinely European standard team. They did it there because teams like us shat it and didn't pip them to it. So I don't think there's going to be that much fall off in terms of points. But I think those points will have you much further down the division this year. And I think other teams, potentially even Aberdeen, as much as I've been saying, I think Goodwin will go by Christmas. It's just, you spend £2.5 million, you get £2.5 million worth of player, and surprise, surprise, you'll probably do a bit better. So I think there's so much disingenuine pish thrown about the standard that Robinson's held to and that others aren't held to and all the rest of it. I comfortably think so far that Stephen Robinson hasn't done that great a job, and I think anyone that says otherwise is probably at it. And I don't think that's what anyone's saying when they think that he should be given more time. They're just saying he should be given more time. I think that's all there is to it. I think you can't defend the point of sacking him without being made to sound like you're an absolute zealot, and I just don't think that's what any of us, certainly not I am. I'm not happy with the League Cup performances. I wasn't happy with losing that amount of games at the end of last season. Who would be? I just thought context's important. And it still is. I don't think it stopped being important.
Well, I disagree and think you're a happy clapper kibble mouthpiece. So
Brilliant.
I just see even that you'll be getting accused, Mark will be getting accused, or the podcast in general will be accused of being a happy clapper. But see if anyone listened to what he said there. He's criticised Robinson and the way it's been since he came in, but because he's not foaming at the mouth and demanding to be sacked and we get a proper guy in, he's a happy clapper. It's just people select what they want to hear and what they want to absorb.
Yeah, there's no nuance in anything at all. You're one or the other. There's no. I would consider myself firmly middle ground. I'm generally optimistic about everything. I kind of think everyone deserves a chance and all the rest of it, but I don't stop short of criticising people, and I would say I'm fairly standard amongst the majority of us and the rest. And that basis, like, I don't have to think Robinson's done a good job to think that given a bit of time he'll turn it round, and he's probably, with the available candidates, still the kind of more qualified person there. I would be really disappointed to see us give up on him, or to drive him to a point where he gave up on us, because I think if we back him with the infrastructure he's put in, with the impact I think he's having on training and all the rest of it, I think we will turn it round, but it might get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I think the benefit we've got now is that I think with John Needham and the guys on the board, Keith Lasley, I think they're more stronger characters than previous boards who may have been quick to pull the trigger once they heard certain stuff from the stands. So I think he will get given time, but it does need to improve as well, as you say.
Yeah, of course.
Starting to worry me how massive that Motherwell game is, though.
It is huge. That's
Here's a scenario for you. What happens if Graham Alexander gets bulleted early doors and Robinson's still getting the level of abuse he's getting here? Do you think there'd be a wee sniff of him going back to Motherwell? Resigning and going, do you know what, I don't like this, I'll just go back to where I'm appreciated. And then we're left
with Graham Alexander.
Or who we get, Kevin Thompson as the manager.
Barry
there you
Ferguson.
go. Aye, there's him and Bob Malcolm as the dream team. There's your 8 months scenario from now.
Cy Ferry, bring him home.
Only if he brings Paul Slane, of course. The little joker that he is.
Our wingers aren't horny enough.
But yeah, that was the point I was going to make, is that Motherwell game is massive, and even the Edinburgh FC. So they're now
FC Edinburgh?
FC Edinburgh.
Oh, is it FC Edinburgh? God. That game's quite big because, like, essentially now this is a pre-season game. It doesn't mean anything for us, but we need to go out and we need to win it convincingly.
Yeah.
Or even
it will mean nothing if we win, but it will mean everything if we lose. Like,
yes,
if we win, it will be like, did you notice we won today? Whatever. But if we lose, there's going to be mobs.
Is it Kelty we played first in the cup? Was that our fourth round tie in the cup, or was it someone else before Kelty?
Is that the Jonathan Jones goal?
Kelty was the fourth round.
Was that the first one? Because that had the same. We'd been on that shite run coming up to the break, and it was coming out of the break that we played the cup game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it kind of had the same thing where there's like, we could turn it over here and it doesn't mean that much, but a poor result here.
I think he needs a 3-goal margin. If we beat them 2-0, folk will be raging. I think he needs to get 3, 4, 5, something like that, before people will accept it as a reasonable win.
I think we could win 6-0 and people will still say. I think we could win 6-0 and people will still say, where was that last Saturday?
Aye, where's that? Why did you not play that 11 against Airdrie?
I mean, we'll probably see a few. You'd imagine Offord getting a shot here. Brophy will probably be in for some minutes, so you'd imagine he'd be wanting a few goals. I don't know if he'll start and then maybe, or he'll come off the bench maybe at half time or something. But yeah, he's needing a few goals here, and then it's to the all-important Motherwell match, which, I mean, It's really bad when the first game of the season really is the season-defining match of what's to come.
We've had so many season-defining matches already, and the season's not even started. It's getting a bit exhausting.
Yeah, I think Dave Cormack might be touching on that sentiment.
Aye.
Is he left your house yet? Has he just been in your house the entire week?
No, I was. That's if he comes back. I've not actually heard from him. I'll just open the door when we get to that bit, and if he comes in, he comes in, and if he doesn't, well.
What's that? Footsteps on the roof. He's here.
David's been.
Anybody else want to touch on anything?
How do you think we'll shape up for the Motherwell game?
Oof.
Because looking at how we've kind of chopped and changed in cup games and what the results have been, I don't know what our first pick is. I don't know what. I mean, there's names that are obviously going to be on that, assuming they're fit and all the rest of it. You know, like Erdogan and O'Hara are obviously going to be in that midfield too. I think you would assume Ayunga is going to be one of the three up top, probably the central one, unless he thinks Brophy's fit, in which case he'd maybe put Brophy in the middle and Ayunga wide of him. But I don't know who your other option up there is.
Whether it's
Is it Shaughnessy?
Henderson.
Or Henderson.
Henderson seems to be a bit of the forgotten man.
Yeah. And Oyesanya's not showing me anything that sees that he's streets ahead of Jay Henderson.
Yeah. I wonder if he knows what he's getting from Henderson and he thinks Olasanya needs a bit of a head of steam to deliver something. So
I think
he
you've
needs,
probably nailed that there, yeah.
He needs 3 or 4 games to get up to speed, because I said it last time, and I actually then went back after and did a bit more reading about him and his career in inverted commas and everything before it, and he really isn't someone that's had that much football at any kind of level, and certainly not, consecutively. There's been kind of bursts here and there, and you can absolutely see why like a Middlesbrough would take a chance on him when they've got an under-23 side and all the rest of it, because he's a project and it's not worked. He ends up in Paisley, but you wonder how long we can give someone if he's going to have one good game in 10, are we going to give him 30 games to try and remedy that, or are you going to stick Henderson back in because he's a known quantity and delivers? Like,
that's the issue as well. If you play him against Motherwell and he's having an absolute stinker, and then you put Henderson on and he either scores or sets something up,
I've never seen him again.
You're not wanting to see him on that team sheet. Over the same issue when Erwin was starting games and everybody was like, for fuck's sake.
I hope he's not a Jake Caprice level. Could have been good when he was younger, but ended up in Paisley for a wee while type signing.
Adam Drury.
Aye, and Adam Drury. But we'll see. But we've seen this film before with so many players of that kind of ilk that we sign that this is his chance to prove that he's good enough, and it never seems to happen in Paisley for some reason.
I think
sorry, Jamie.
No, I was just going to say, was it Sam's prediction that it was left by mutual consent in January?
It's a great shout.
He'll get Mariah's down to Kings Lynn. I think also the league's a different beast. I think, there's, again, context matters, and look at the performances that, I know we get out of the group and all the rest of it, right? But we drew with Spartans under Stubbs, like we were dugmate at that point, and then won the first game of the season. Admittedly, a couple of Jack Hamilton assists, right? But the league does funny things. I think that is the game. That is, football proper at that point. We might just shake into life at that point, and kind of we have been a bit pre-seasony with these games, even though we shouldn't have. And that's us. Motherwell might just be shit. They've not had these games. I mean, they're playing just now, aren't they? Against
they're losing 1-0
against Sligo. Oh, brilliant! So they are like, we might come up against them on Saturday, and it's entirely different to what we expect. So
the thing is, as well, with the teams we've played, the way they've set up against us, like they sit back, like their aim is to hit you on the counter, because in that kind of football, you're not going to get a lot of teams playing St Mirren where they're going to be happily like just sit back against us. It's going to be a bit more attacking, and we'll have to be a bit more defensive. And I think that's really where we'll get a better sort of idea of the way the team is.
That's Robinson's game as well. You're not setting up as a 4-3-3 to as I said, to break down a low block and all the rest of it. You're setting up as a 4-3-3 so that when St Johnstone try and venture up the park against you, you can punish them with athletic guys who'll just bully them back. You're doing it so that if you are playing at Celtic and Celtic are having an off day, you've got guys that can stretch the game and maybe do something for you. We've kind of had probably the only 3 games this season we'll get, short of drawing someone small in the Scottish Cup. In January, the only 3 games where we will have all of the expectation to attack and no real pressure to soak up and then come back at. So again, it's just a different beast. And I do think Motherwell are rotten. They were not the 5th best team in the. I mean, they technically were right, but they weren't.
They were there because somebody had to be.
Exactly. They're not in Europe because they went and did it. They held off. You know, they're a dwarf amongst midgets or whatever you might call it. Like, that is what it is. Is that acceptable? I don't know if that's acceptable. It's a Family Guy joke.
Said it now.
It's a Family Guy joke. If anyone doesn't take issue with that, send a letter to Seth MacFarlane.
But we will be back after this.
Hi, I'm Eamon Brophy. You're listening to Misery Hunters podcast.
Eamon Brophy there. So, appears there's someone over your shoulder there, Mark.
Hi, and you come. Hello. How are you doing, Dave? Have you got a script this week, or what are you just going to say the first thing that comes to your head? I'll probably just say the first thing that comes to my head. What's going on?
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh in your face, Dave. I was just thinking about a joke.
I'm used to it. I'm a fucking joke, you see. Is that Kenny McIntyre? Fuck you. This is the standard of professionalism which you've come to expect from us.
So, Dave, have you compiled your data this week?
I've got some data here. Stephen Glass is the best manager in Scottish football. Right, Dave, you take a seat over there now. Right, hand me your phone. Cheers. And then I'll just read them out, shall I?
Okay.
Cheers, though, Dave. Appreciate that.
Yeah. These are stupid enough without needing a stupid accent from a stupid man to read them out. So,
who's a stupid man?
David Cormack.
I wasn't sure if it was the other guy.
No, he's actually very intelligent. Did you not hear that rant he had about context and stuff? It was so wordy and impressive. Dave was just saying that as well. First up is a Facebook comment on the launch of the universally popular black away strip that literally everyone said is absolutely wonderful, other than Brian McGinty, but not that one, on the Facebook page, who followed it across social media. So on our launch, he shouted, "It's black! Great for seeing your teammates!" Which I'm assuming is the equivalent of Stephen Robinson clapping at Fir Park. And that it's sarcasm, but not really. And then in an interview that Ewan McVicker gave to the Daily Record, where quite a nice article, helping my club St Mirren launch their new away kit was unreal. McGinty steamed straight in with black. That's always an easy colour to see on the pitch. It also leaves a space between the end of his sentence and the punctuation. So keep up the good work, Brian. Fantastic. No teams have ever worn black and done quite well. No one's ever. Certainly not us. It's not a thing that people do apart from loads of people, and it's absolutely fine. And shut up.
There's not a team called the All Blacks.
Shite team, you mean?
Who tend to win everything all the time.
You never watched them playing rugby, and the amount of times they just pass it straight out of touch, just because they can't see anyone.
Didn't see them, mate.
If they were the All Oranges, they would have won everything. Bring back the orange away strip, says Brian.
Oh, big team found.
Lawrence Rue steamed straight in with an absolute dynamite bit of patter on the Facebook group, where someone stupidly asked if anyone could seriously recommend a good place to hire in Paisley for a 50th. And Lawrence said, Greenhill Road, there's some folk dressed up as footballers there.
Right.
That's good patter. Well done, Lawrence. At least 3 people on Pie and Bovril took Craig's fake tweet about Aberdeen making a bid for Dylan Reid and then argued about how shite Scott Burns was and how he didn't know what was going on and all the rest of it.
Craig's fake tweet in which he got the date wrong, so I actually posted it the next day or something, that I didn't stop people biting.
You need to come with me, Marty. Aberdeen have made a bid for Dylan Reid.
So yeah, fair play to Craig.
Where we're going, we don't need Reids.
Nice.
There we go. That was absolute
You
textbook.
got Stephen Robinson sarcastic clap.
Just off the cuff as well. That's genius.
Fantastic. Yeah, there is no script here. Very briefly, Ronnie Edgar looking for a refund for his wee man's football top. His wee man's absolutely done a Klinsmann down a muddy hill.
But do you know what
Good luck, Ronnie.
the mental thing is? I saw someone else complaining on Facebook because someone's size was too small or something, and they listed that as one of the things that we should bin Joma for. So you can't even wash the kits. It's like, mate, that guy's kit. Like, no one puts anything in the washing machine and it comes out like that. That's just not how things work. And I
We should definitely bin Joma because some wee guy got mud on his top.
I really cannot wait to see the follow-up thing where he says it's a disgrace and we don't look after our fans because he couldn't get a refund or a replacement.
On yourself, Ronnie. You know, Lord loves a trier. Fraser Burns and Scott Stafford having a lovely chat about, you know, happy clappers are fine with pre-season, and then Scott Stafford says that they'll be coming for you because you're not allowed to be negative. You're allowed negative, but if you say stupid things, you get read out on a stupid things section on a podcast.
Have you cleaned your
Just the way it
laptop
works.
yet, mate?
Yep. So that's 2 for 2 from Scott. So I'm certainly not telling you you can't be negative, Scott. If you keep being negative, you probably will go, you know, 38 for 38.
Are we going to
podcast
keep a league table and have like the Dave Cormack most miserable award or something like that?
No. That's fairly resounding. I think Dave's already got a job to do. He doesn't want to add that on. Mark Quinn asked for a refund for his ticket for the Edinburgh game. That was good. No.
Hope he gets it.
Good on him. You've got more chance of a refund than Ronnie Edgar. And he's sitting on top. Hugh Lothar managed to post 3 times, I think, in 10 minutes on the St. fans Facebook page. Not a comma amongst them. I'll just read it as the one sentence because that's what it looks like. Go now, Robinson. Nobody likes you. Please go now, Robinson. Robinson Stubbs the second. Get him out now. So 15 likes amongst 3 statuses. A good 5 like average there. Keep it up. Jim Murdoch. That's the worst St. side I've seen in a long time, and I regret renewing my season ticket. I'm assuming Jim didn't go to any of our games under Tommy Craig, Gary Teal, Ian Murray, Alex Ray.
St. fans have such weird, short, selective memories. I was thinking earlier, like, I saw a couple of posts talking about Obika's goal scoring record. I was always a big fan of Obika, but he get absolute dog's abuse from our fans, and now that he's away, he's the best. Like, the best thing you can do for your reputation is leave St. Mirren, because they get these mad rose tinted goggles where it's like, I bring Obika back and we'll smash him in up here. Like, the same men that were giving him absolute pelters for seasons upon seasons. It's mad.
I thought he was shit, and I still think he's shit. So that's mad.
And you're consistent, and we appreciate that.
And he's a full year older and a full knee shorter since he moved on. But
that's
by all means, bring him back.
And I think Div from Pie and Bovril even tweeted about Graham Carey being a great player and how he's going to be absolutely fantastic for St. Johnstone, and that's a player. I mean, no one's seen him play for the past however many years that he's been in Bulgaria. No one's seen him play when he was playing for Plymouth Argyle. Like, he had a few good spells, but then Plymouth Argyle got relegated and he was not doing well with them. So the fact that the now 34-year-old Graham Carey is going to boss this league, and it's a shame we missed out on him. It's.
I think that's a big assumption to assume that Div doesn't have Levski TV on his IPTV. Maybe he's been watching every game in the Bulgarian.
If that is the case, I do apologise.
Yeah, I just don't think we can make those assumptions. We'll take a brief step away from St. Mirren to mention former West Ham star and confirmed idiot David Cottrell.
Oh, he'll be proud to hear that he's in there.
Prepare to be bombarded by the climate change propaganda like never before. Wildfires are easily started using dews. Laser beams ignite a fire. These heat waves in Europe are nothing new. They've been happening for decades, but now they have an agenda to push. Your car drive to work is to blame. We must ban petrol and diesel and get you driving that Tesla that we can limit and control.
Do you think that heading a football for a career affects people?
I'm not too sure.
On trial.
Unrelated question. I'm just wondering.
As
I
Ross
would
just
assume he's
mentioned,
been heading pavements.
maybe we should trial the under 12s not to header the ball, as Ross said.
Yeah, we should maybe trial retired shite footballers, not heading balls either, and try and wrestle that one back. But
Went full Matt Letizia there, didn't he? I can see those two doing a kind of after dinner circuit together.
Well, I think
underground bunkers.
They'll both be on the
think
James
he does
English
have his own.
podcast.
I think he does have his own podcast, similar to Matt Letizia, where it's like, Talking Truth with Dave Cottrell or something. It's like talking shite football careers and made up conspiracy theories.
He's the sort of guy that joined the crowd at Area 51. Remember there was a day where we're going to storm the gates.
You still think the Millennium Bug's happening?
They can't shoot us at all, just drop and roll. Running zigzag lines and they can't get it.
Definitely wants to chase Mike Pence out of office, that guy. We'll swoop back to Pie and Bovril, where someone made a comment about Stephen Robinson getting punted, and he'll never be more than a few bad results away from being under pressure. And Hendo checked in with I'm not sure about that. He was effectively Kibble's appointment, and they won't want to be seen to have got it wrong. Only if we are bottom by the time of the World Cup break could the axe be swung. That's right. We overlooked a guy from the Kibble's son to appoint Stephen Robinson, and he was the Kibble appointment. So, well done there, Hendo.
I mean, everything that's bad is the Kibble. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, true. Potentially, if Hendo is related to Jay Henderson, that's maybe why Jay Henderson's out the team.
Ah, yeah.
It could be.
Kibble do pick the team, so...
Big fan of EJ as well. I hope he gets another game soon.
We all love EJ on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Good man. I'll hold my hands up and say there's another one that I screenshotted here where someone said that we had 8 red cards last year, and so we should be ready to play against them. And I was like, I can't wait to pull that to shreds. And then I counted the red cards last year, and we had 8. So I am the idiot. Almost asked Dave to make a comment there, but I think if it gets to the point where
you know where that is in regards to the league stats, are we amongst the worst for that, or?
I've not.
No.
That's not data that I've been handed.
All right, sorry, Dave.
It's a genuine surprise to me that it was.
Yeah, I think it was 7 in the league.
Mm.
I went and checked, although I went by Wikipedia. So
obviously that bomb scale Shaughnessy got them all.
Captain Fouls.
Fraser F at Buddies 1769 said on Tuesday night that we had 25 minutes to save our season in a cup group game against Airdrie before we played a minute in the league. So, by all means, bad in. Special mention for Stuart Brown on the Facebook page for saying that Lee Griffiths is available and he's been hitting the gym hard to get back to full business, according to The Sun, and claiming he's in the best shape of his life in order to get back to a high level on the pitch. Personally, I don't like the guy for his off-field antics, but he is a goal scorer when he is on it. If fit and his head is in the right place, he could be a great signing. At 31, he should still have at least one good season in him. And just to confirm, that was after Lee Griffiths was turned down by Forfar.
I think you only have to see how many times the words could, should were used in that post to
and the
assumption,
it's always the assumption that he can get fit.
Fit and firing.
Aye, and
fit and firing, Lee Griffiths gets you 30 goals.
I mean, he couldn't do it at Celtic when he was on a fuck ton of money. He's not going to be able to do it in any of these places. No. I mean, he's going to end up at fucking open goal, isn't he?
Oh, 100%.
Or with Lennon in Cyprus, maybe.
Aye, maybe.
I don't know if he'll get get his passport renewed. I think he's maybe...
he's on our list.
He's blotted his copybook.
If we signed Griffiths, he would need to start every game. Because he was on the bench, the subs were up next to the Panda Club, don't they? So he wouldn't.
Dave's just whispering to me that I should Google what the age of consent is in Cyprus, but I'm not going to do that.
Dave's got his lawyers just on their way just in case.
That's how you end up on a list, is googling what the age of consent is for certain countries.
I'd probably not do that, mate. No.
Yeah, no, I think we're fine. And there we have it. That is the very worst of someone's social media for another week.
Well, thanks, Dave.
Boris, it makes you proud to be from Paisley, doesn't it? No.
I knew a couple of the names mentioned in there personally, so other than them, yeah, shower of fucking idiots, I think you've just named.
We did.
I'd like to go on record as saying
Plus, the people I know
are idiots.
Aye.
we did say that don't take it to heart if you end up on here. We're all fair game as well. If any has put up something stupid, or even in the group chat, I'm happy to pass it over to Mr. Dave Cormack. So
I would like fed up getting abuse on Twitter. go to the other three for a week or two.
I would like nothing more than something I said 2 years ago to be proved wrong and held up as a shite take of the week. There's the gauntlet laid down. By all means, go and search for something that I said about one of our current players. Just don't search for other stuff.
Do you know who's got the potential to find it? The creator of the new Andy Dorman account.
Who is that?
Oh yeah.
No idea, but it's absolute genius. So I'm going to throw
it. We just all think it's
Sam.
each other.
No, we think it's Sam.
Aye.
It's definitely Sam.
It's got to be Sam. I'm sure that it's Sam, as that Hezbollah account was Matman.
which it was, just to reaffirm again, that was Matman. He told me at the Player of the Year dinner it was him.
He should bring it back, to be fair. It was a good.
He definitely should bring it back.
But we need to leave yous. Patreon.com/Misery Hunters. You'll get the extra bonus episodes. You get to hear about Keith Lasley's opinion on kebab pies, why it's a massive season for Ethan Erehon, and our newest episode, which will be coming up after this one, which is why it's going to be a massive season for Eamon Brophy. We've also set up a fantasy football league. This time it's for Patreons only, so we don't get like loads of randoms. So if you want to be a member of that, join the Patreon. The information's on Patreon or the Discord. Use the Discord. That's the best place also to get in touch with Dave Cormack if you want to chat. MiseryHunters.co.
His DMs are always open, he tells me.
Don't
send me your willy.
MiseryHunters.co.uk for all our merch and latest blogs from Andrew or Mark, who's recently written one as well. So get on that. As always, fuck Alex Ray.
Fuck the League Cup.
Fuck Lee Griffiths.
Fuck Premier Sports.